Hiya. I thought I'd actually do a bit of an intro video because I haven't introduced myself. And not that I'm going to go into a big detail about who I am, I just wanted to, first of all, let everybody know that my name is Sarah. Um, I'm 42, I'm a single mum, and I had a pretty big life change going back about, I'm going to say about 5 years ago, 4 years ago. However, it had been present in my life prior to that, but I just kind of had like one of those earth hack moments, and made me sort of reassess how I was approaching life. So I wanted to actually talk to you about what does it take to make the shift. So first of all, I want to acknowledge that anybody who has known me in the past would know a very different version of me. And as we all change and grow throughout our life, I truly feel that I had a huge shift. Now, that shift is entirely for me and within me, and I appreciate and understand that perhaps that is not as prevalent to other people if they are around me. That being said, the the shift that occurred for me means that now when I look back on the previous version of me, I don't identify with that person. I know what that person, if I look at photographs, I know what that person was thinking at the time in those photographs. I know what that person was feeling within themselves. And ultimately, I feel quite saddened perhaps for that past version of myself that had so much unhealed trauma and so much stuff that I was hiding, I suppose. But I was hiding from myself. I wasn't. It was a subconscious situation. But the other day, I actually brought up about having like almost like Tourette's type thing. So when I go back into a memory and I think about something that, and I reference being a dickhead, and I often was a dickhead. Not all. Like it was never in a nasty or detrimental, or it was just ultimately I'm letting myself down. Like that's how I view it now. But I look back and I was talking about the having sort of Tourette's type situations where I go back into a past memory, I think about it, and then it's like new me and old me start fighting. And that's where I'm like, fuck off, no, fuck. Because I want with everything in me to go back and try and change that thing, because I recognize and I see it so differently now. As I said, I cannot change it now, though. I cannot change the past. All I can do is acknowledge it in the present and make those adjustments for the future. So what does it take, in my opinion, and this is only my opinion at the end of the day, because all I have is the experience that I have gone off of. But what does it take to really want to sort of embark on the healing journey and make those changes, and make no excuses for having those growth patterns and those changes and all the rest of it? It was really hard to begin with. I actually took 12 months off of work. I sold a car and I lived off of the money from selling that for 12 months, which was kind of pretty cool at the end of the day. I mean, I didn't really realize what I was doing. I just like battened down the hatches. And as a single mum with a mortgage and living off of a car sale in the middle of COVID, like it wasn't the middle of COVID, it was the back end of COVID. But it was just a really interesting time in my life. And additional to that, there was 3 months of that where I didn't leave the house at all. So I actually, wow, I sit back and I think about it now, but I literally I don't even know at times how I was functioning. I mean, I have a child in the middle of all of that as well. So I think I was just really at this point where I wanted so desperately to heal myself. So the desire to truly want to heal was at an all-time high for me. So it wasn't about and I say there's a lot of modalities that people can use to assist with clearing some of these energies within us, but ultimately you must do the work. It's within yourself. And I cannot stress that enough, but you have to be ready to do it, which means that you have to be ready to look at the way that you interact with people, the way that you show up for yourself, the way that you show up for your friends and family, the way that you talk to people, the way that you use language just in general. What are your vices? What are the things that are indoctrinated into your world that you think make up you? And I started this journey with quite literally one question. And that question still gets me to this day. And it's so silly. It is so silly. But the question is, what is my favorite color? And I sat there with this idea of what is my favorite color. And I thought, oh, well, straight off the bat, I already had a color in my head. And that color was blue. And I was like, why? Why do I like blue? What is it about blue? What's my attachment to blue? Turns out I actually have zero attachment to the color blue. What I do have an attachment to is the fact that I have blue eyes. And so a lot of the time when I was growing up as a child, people would always comment on the color of my eyes. And then when I was wearing blue, people would always say, you look lovely in blue. Blue's your color. Blue, blue, blue. Blue, blue, blue. So it was always a positive reinforcement, just this color. And so I took it on board as my favorite color. Anyway, in this breaking down of self, and as I said, this is where I started. It was a breaking down of self. It was an acknowledgement that I truly didn't even know my own favorite color, which I thought was absurd. And I sat there and I thought about it for a long time, and I cried about it. I was like, how do I not know what my favorite color is? Like, what is it about a color that makes it our favorite? Turns out my favorite color is yellow, and the reason that I love yellow is it gives off that feeling of light and bright and fun, and I don't know, it's just joy. It's just all the things. And yellow doesn't mean that I'm nearly wearing yellow. I'm wearing mustard. But I wouldn't necessarily wear yellow as a color, but whenever I see the color yellow, I'm always drawn to it. And so it's quite interesting. Anyway, to go all the way back, you must be ready to embark on the journey. And the journey is really, really unfun to begin with, because ultimately you are pulling away everything that you have ever known about yourself back to nothingness, absolute nothingness. If you were born today and you could create your own persona, world, thoughts, beliefs, whatever it may be, who would you be? And I did that. I decided to rebirth myself, essentially. And I started with my favorite color, because that was obviously important. It is, because you know what? It actually gives me an anchor. It gives me a sense of self now. And I'm like, yeah, I know my favorite color. I don't know much else, but I know that. But then I also wanted to go on and talk to you about some different modalities and things like that that can be used in that space. I did not start with breathwork. I became a breathwork facilitator after beginning the journey and all the rest of it. Like, I started to realize that I needed more in my world. However, I'm a doer, so I didn't want to just go and do the class of breathwork. I actually wanted to learn it and embody it, understand it, and heal myself properly from it. And I have shared that with other people. However, I don't believe that it's not my strength. And I know that it's not my strength because I actually believe that I have something bigger to offer than just showing people how to breathe. I think that it's super important, but it is just a modality that can be used. But there's lots of other modalities, and I kind of wanted to go into it. But to start off with, if you don't journal, pull out a pen and buy a journal or buy a nice book, buy something cute, buy whatever, and treat it like your honesty box. It's the one thing, like even for me, my journal is the one thing I will never, ever even skirt a white lie in there. There's not even do you know what? There is times that I don't want to write what I'm writing in there because I'm like, oh, I'm so uncomfortable writing this. It's like I'm admitting it to myself. And then the minute that I do, I realize that it's just a way of letting go. And it's so important. But you must start to work on the things that you need to release. It's okay. We all have shame and shit and rubbish and all the stuff that makes us feel like we weren't good people once upon a time. But you know what? We are good people. We're all good people. We've all just got so much information overload, and we're trying to be and do and I don't know, trying to fill the void for other people, and we're forgetting to like be ourselves. Who are we? If we were born today and we had all of these things, who would you choose to be? What's your favorite color? All right, that's all. Thanks for going on the flow. Love you. Bye.